Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I wanted to talk today about Doom: The Dark Ages, which is the third game in the modern Doom series. I love the first two games, Doom 2016 and Eternal, and this was kind of an auto buy for me or auto purchase. And I was interested to see the new setting and the new gameplay tricks that they pulled out for this one because it looked like they were trying to keep things fresh with like a chainsaw shield sort of thing. This was my impression before the game released. So I was looking forward to seeing what they did with it. Um, the Dark Ages theme, that whole thing, I don't really know what's so different about it. At the beginning, it seemed a little different, but I gotta be honest with you. One thing I did in this game that I did a little bit in Doom Eternal is I skipped, I think, every single cutscene in this game. Unless it was something where just like something really cool was happening and it wasn't just people sitting around talking. That stuff I really couldn't stand. And I do have a bit of a problem with Doom Eternal where they kind of said, let's flesh out the Doom story. I'm just not a big fan of that. By the time we get to this game, Doom: The Dark Ages, the Doomslayer is like part of like this army, and they're talking about like what assignments they're sending him on and stuff. And I just don't really get that. I mean, the Doomslayer just kind of does what he does. He doesn't take orders from some general or something. He does whatever he wants to do. So I don't really think it fits. I think they're trying way too hard to give this series like a meaningful military story, and I don't know why. I think they should just keep it simple, but that's my opinion. And it might make you wonder, well, if you're not getting any of the story, are you getting everything that you can possibly get out of the game itself? And the answer to me is yes. I think The Dark Ages is a really good installment in this series. Given that it's the third game, I think you're seeing some different gameplay stuff. And I think, maybe the series is getting a little bit long in the tooth for me for one reason or another. Or maybe it's just this game is a little bit lacking in some areas. But we'll talk about everything here. We already talked about the story. The gameplay, the changes they've made, I like a lot for the most part. The shield is really cool. They kind of made it seem like you were going to use it like a chainsaw, and that's not really what's happening here. You can sort of use it as a chainsaw if you use one weapon and stun an enemy and then throw it at them, but you're never getting up in their in a demon's face and using the chainsaw shield on them, and that was kind of disappointing to me. The one thing that is cool is that it does have a parry system, so you can parry demons and you'll get bonuses and attack damage bonuses sometimes, depending on what upgrades you have when you do parry. And the big, powerful demons do this a lot. They give you a lot of opportunities to parry or just block. And when you do that, it just opens up the game a lot. I think they added this because, well, number one, parry mechanics are almost a little too popular right now. I think 3 or 4 of the last 5 games I've played have had like parry mechanics. It's just getting a little old to me, but it is a cool mechanic and I do enjoy it. So I get why developers keep going to the well there. You get to throw the shield, and like I said, you can kind of chop up a big enemy with it and get them to stay in one place while the blades are spinning on the shield. That's about it though, other than the blocking and the parrying. So you throw them at demons, and the cool thing about the shield is that you can slice through a bunch of demons at one time, but these are usually demons that you can dispense with any gun in about 2 seconds. So throwing the shield at them doesn't really do a whole lot, other than, again, it will amass bonuses sometimes, depending on what upgrades you have, if you throw it through a bunch of small-time demons. One thing I don't really care for is they got away from the gore kills, the finishing moves where you're kind of just ripping a demon in half. And those were really fun, but they kind of took a shortcut this time, and most of the finishers are just you kicking the demon with your boot, and then they just like explode pretty much. It's really underwhelming. They do save some other gore kills for the bigger demons that are more like bosses, but the one they use the most, I mean, they use it like 8 times. It's a little repetitive. And some of the other ones are cool, but they're like few and far between. So I think I hated this a lot when I first started the game. I've softened a bit on it just because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe they got into playtesting or even before that and they thought, if we do the finishing moves again, we're going to be stopping the player every 5 seconds to do a finishing move. And I don't know if we can do 3 games in a row of that. Let's shorten them this time. And I want to believe that that's what they were going for, but I'm just not sure. And I think there's just as good of a chance that they were like, the third game in the series, people are either going to buy it or they're not. Let's just chill on the finishing moves. We don't have to try so hard this time. I don't know what to believe. To kind of go back and forth here, I'll talk about something that I did really like, which the guns, I think the variety is fine. I don't think it's spectacular, but I do think the guns feel and sound really awesome this time, especially with headphones. I mean, using the shotgun and the super shotgun with headphones is like incredible. It sounds so good, and they sound so powerful. Also, the soundtrack, I think, might be better than the first 2 games, which I didn't think was possible, but it was just like every song, I'm just like, wow, this is awesome. This fits the scene perfectly. It sounds like an old metal album, and it looks like I'm playing in the cover of an old metal album, so I think that's very cool. Another thing I think they took a step back on was the map exploration and the secrets, which they pretty much have, I think, maybe the same amount of secrets they've had before, maybe a little bit less. It didn't really move the needle too much for me. But the problem with the secrets in this game is most of them are like really easy to find. All you're really doing is walking through the map and fighting. And once in a while, you just pull up the map to see if the map part that you uncovered has any secrets on it. The map will just like show you the secrets, all of them, as far as I could tell. And then you just kind of walk over and get them. Sometimes there's a gate that's blocking the way. So you look through the gate, you see where the entrance is from the inside of where the secret is, inside the cave or whatever, and you just walk around. Sometimes you have to do a little more work than others, but you just kind of go get the secret and you do what needs to be done. It takes very little thinking. And I'm one of those people that I'm not a big secret hunter. I like to find them. I think it's gratifying to find them. And I liked how the modern Doom games, they have secrets where it's like, you'll get a few secrets without even trying, but if you apply yourself even somewhat, you'll find most of them. And that's what I like. This game, I'm like 98%ing every map on the first try, because all I'm doing is walking through the map and playing the level and then just checking it to see where all the secrets are marked, and then I just go pick them up. So there's not much of a challenge there. It's just, they don't really feel like secrets at all. It just feels like parts of the map that you're opening up. So that was a bit disappointing. I think the locations are okay. I think Eternal had better locations, and I think this is more akin to 2016, where it's like, yeah, this is a nice setting. It fits. It's fine. I don't really think they put a ton of work into it, as far as just thinking of interesting places for the player to be in, for the player to fight in. It's a lot of like just big arenas without a lot to jump on or swing on. If you remember in Eternal, you were running constantly, and then you would jump on a pole that would swing you across half the board, and then you would get on a platform that would shoot you up in the air, and you would be mantling on platforms and things like that. You were basically running for your life the entire time. This game, it took me I had to get about halfway through this game until I felt like it was fast. And that's weird. I don't really know why it's like that. Of course, you can change up the difficulty, but that's not really what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for a slightly different gameplay delivery. A lot of times, you'll just be kind of meandering around the map because you ran to grab some health, and then you're turning around and then looking for someone to shoot. This is also ironic because if you see demons in the distance, like let's just say you're on top of a cliff and you see demons 500 feet below you, they'll just start lobbing fireballs and stuff at you, even when you're not even engaged in a fight, like not even close to it. So it's really weird that when I'm actually in a battle and there's about 40 demons that I haven't killed yet, I can run to the other side of the map and they just like won't really follow me. So that was a bit of a disappointment for me. One thing about the level design that I have to give them props for, though, is the set pieces in this game are so freaking good. And what I love about these modern Doom games and what Bethesda is doing with them is I don't think they think too hard about it as far as like, let's have a scene where the Doom Slayer has to free like some huge demon that's been chained up in hell. Or let's have the Doom Slayer fly on a dragon briefly and then land and then smash a bunch of enemies. Just stuff like that. It's super cool. There's not a lot of, market research or, to me, it seems like just very cool ideas that someone would want to see in a video game like Doom. And they do that very well here. I don't want to spoil them, but the set pieces are really cool, and they make up for some of what I think is some bland level design. But my overall grade on the game is very positive. I think the package is a little bit rougher this time compared to the first two games, and I can't really attribute that to any one thing in particular. And I would say that the fighting arenas just kind of get repetitive after a while. The enemies in this game seem less diverse than the first two games. I don't know if that's just because the series is getting a little old for me, or if they just didn't really have as many ideas this time around. But I thought the enemies were just fine. But when you're fighting, as long as it doesn't get too repetitive, because the enemies get a bit repetitive and the fighting in general gets a bit repetitive, you're going to have a really, really, really fun time playing this game and just ripping the hell out of demons. I do think this feels a little more bland compared to the first two games. Again, I don't know if it's just because it's samey or if maybe they just cut a couple corners this time, but I'm almost done with the game, so I am reviewing it before I beat it, but I'm like 80% of the way done with the game. And I'm just kind of going to battle. I'm not really wondering about anything as far as why I'm there or what I'm doing. Obviously, I skipped the cutscenes. So you could say, well, of course, you skipped the cutscenes. I didn't care about anything they were talking about in the cutscenes. I didn't care about any of the characters. And I don't know why they keep trying to make human characters in these games. I thought the first game did it right, where it was just like one evil voice talking to you over the intercom. And that was kind of what drove you through the levels. I do think there is a woman that speaks on the intercom who seems like she's like your teammate or something. And I like her voice. I think she fits very well on the intercom messages. That's just a little aside there. And they don't overdo the talking during the levels. It's just when you get to a new part of the level, they'll be like, you've got to turn on the engine or whatever. So then you go and you go to the checkpoint. So overall, it's really, really fun. I played the crap out of it, and I'll probably play it again someday. But I'm less looking forward to it than I was when I replayed Eternal, which I think just had so much more gameplay variety. I know people didn't like the platforming as much in Eternal, but there's a little bit of platforming in this game. I don't think it's intrusive in either game. So it never bothered me in Eternal, but there was just so much more variety in that game. Even though that one was maybe a little bit too bloated with just different gameplay mechanics and different weapons and different grenades and different add-ons. I think this game, there's a lot of upgrades, but they're just not that impressive to me. And just everything else in the presentation area just seems like a little lacking to me. So I would give this one a slightly lower grade than the first two. But once I got into it, I'm just like, yeah, this is fun as hell. So if that's your attitude, if you like the earlier modern Doom games, just pick this one up. It's an easy purchase. It's an easy playthrough. You'll have a great time. But that's everything I have to say about Doom the Dark Ages. If you have something to add, please let me know in the comments, and we'll start a discussion, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.